Back, folks. The second half is about to get started. As we said to you, it is 1-0 to Mamelodi Sundowns against Black Leopards, and the same scoreline for Kaiser Chiefs against Baroka in their game, with Kamabiliat scoring that goal there, and Lebogang Maboy getting on the score sheet for the Brazilians. As it stands, of course, it means that Kaiser Chiefs are in uh, set, well, to be champions of the ABSA Premiership, unless, I don't know, somehow the floodgates open in the second half and Mamelodi Sundowns are able to find a bag full of goals. That goal difference obviously favoring Amakosi at the moment. And just to let you know about other scorelines elsewhere, Amazulu are leading Highlands Park 1-0. Then you've got Bidvest Wits in the lead against, Polokwane City, 1-0 there. It's tied at 1-0 between Celtic and Maritzburg United. It's 0-0 between Cape Town City and Supersport United. Chipa went into the halftime break leading a goal nil against Arrows, and Orlando Pirates did the same with Mango, growing his lead at the top of the goal.
Uh, Kamza, I think you're still on mute.
Now I've been unmuted. There we go.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Um, and I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome to the watch along Timothy Batabayer, who joins us. Tim, thank you so much for hopping on this watch along with us. What have you made of the games so far and what you've seen?
Look, it's very interesting. It's very competitive. If you look at Chiefs against Baroka United, if you look at how they are playing, their team that wants a draw or a win. It's a must win, but again they went very cautiously. But for me, I was very impressed how they have impacted themselves. They are not rushing. They are very patient. And eventually, they were rewarded by that goal. But, if you look at Bidvest Stadium, it favors a team like Baroka Swallows, Baroka United playing against Chiefs, because they will have to fight with Chiefs needs a very wide pitch where they can spray the ball. But at this moment in time, they have got a goal and it's very good for them.
Okay, no, for sure. It is very good for them. And that's an interesting observation that you make about around the pitches. We're also saying the same about the Dobsonville pitch and how it doesn't lend itself to the kind of free-flowing ball playing that Mamelodi Sundowns are used to.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to welcome. Sorry, I would like to welcome Timothy. Hope you're well, my buddy. It's been years. But I just wanted to ask you a quick question. Do you perhaps have a job at Swallows? Because I've heard you said Morocco Swallows about 5 times already.
No, it's interesting times, given the fact that Swallows is back after so many years in the wilderness. And yes, I've got some good pals at Swallows, and so that has been a slip of the tongue.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
He's confusing his teams.
Yeah.
One a ABSA Premiership team now, and one that is kind of hanging in the balance, as obviously Baroka will probably go off into that a playoff spot. Polokwane City, Clinton Larson's just not been able to get them firing in this resumption after the break. It was always looking dire and not going to be the easiest of tasks. But yeah, that picture at the bottom of the table, Timothy, what do you have to say about that?
Look, the second half demands that Kaizer Chiefs become very patient, because they have got everything to lose than Baroka. So it's very important that they keep the shape and spread the ball very well. And when it's the right time, then they can release that ball. But at the moment, I'm seeing those misplaced passes, and those are nerves creeping in. And it will be very interesting for the next, let me say, 42 minutes to the end of the game.
Yeah. I mean, Shoaib, I guess all they have to do now, Mamelodi Sundowns, is, like we said, try to claw away at that goal difference. That's probably their best plan now, being in the lead.
Yes, look, I mean, half time we were talking about, Chiefs are saying we up and send the message over to Sundowns, and Sundowns said Chiefs is up. But also it's the same thing at the bottom. Leopards must have been told, you know what, Barocca's losing, so you also clear, you're safe. But now I think the most dangerous part is, like Timothy said, is obviously Barocca's going to come out and look for the draw. Because they know also that Leopards is ahead. So if they get the draw, they obviously, and Leopards lose, they will go above Leopards. So it's going to be a nerve-wracking 40 minutes left. But I think what Chiefs is, you can see already what Chiefs is looking to do is to sit a little bit deeper now and try and hit Barocca on transition. Which could be a downfall because Barocca is a pretty decent ball-playing team, especially on smaller pitches like this. So you could be inviting pressure. Like as you can see now, they're busy sitting a little bit deeper. They're not pressing a lot higher. But now if you're going to allow Barocca to get into the game, it could be quite dangerous. And there, as I said, Chiefs is looking at transition. But the pitch doesn't also allow it to make that that free-flowing passes that you require.
For sure, no, it was a good cross there.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity there for Nokovic to get onto the end of that one, but instead it's Chipseze who catches it and allows Barocca now to try go and maybe make the most of this lack of personnel. But it looks like now Chiefs have kind of gotten back to their shape and their formation and are now in possession. It's going to be critical for them to find that second goal. Mr. Sosi, are you still with us, sir? I'm seeing you and your profile picture. I think Sosi is still on the break. We'll catch up with him now. But essentially, I mean, Chiefs have to look for a second goal. But it's interesting how we spoke about the dynamic of the score lines on the teams at the top, and I love the way you guys have spoken about how the teams now at the bottom will have some food for thought going into the second half. And as we see here, it's a pity that we're not seeing the other players, Timothy, in terms of this race for the Golden Boot. We know Mango's off the score sheet, but he scored now already. Shalulile, Hropla, Lukovic could do with a goal in this one. Noxutuzwa, there's Mongintuli still in the mix. Do you think Mango's the guy to make the race by the end of the day? I mean, otherwise, you need about 2 or 3 goals to usurp him at the top.
Look, it's very important to try and concentrate on playing the game. And once you're in a better position, you can score those goals. At this moment in time, it's very important for them to get the 3 points and maybe try to better their position, maybe to qualify for the CAF Champions League. But in my opinion, with Chiefs, they need to understand that 1-0 is like a candle. If we get these spring winds to blow it, it can easily turn the lights off. So I think they need to try and find a cushion goal before they can sit back, because Barocca, they are very decent. They are capable of passing balls in between and displacing the defenders. So they shouldn't, risk. They need to try and find that cushion goal to be a little bit comfortable.
Just a score update, Celtic have found another goal. They're now leading 2-1 against Maritzburg United. So Celtic, they're just taking the lead in that game. And I guess in that instance, there's also, we're seeing a coach in John Maduka who's, making a good push for that top position. I mean, if you make a strong end to the season, it should go that maybe he gets an opportunity to be the head coach, to be the main man next season.
Actually, if you are to consider the awarding the trophy during this bubble period of games, I think Maduka qualifies to win this league.
Right. That's the bubble. Just a matter
Interesting.
of other game that he would have to be able to do.
That's a Q1. He's talking about the Q1. They still have that.
With this score as it is now, Sundowns
It's 2-0.
With Mapuwe getting himself.
Just to get back on that point again, Kamza, on the Maduka case, I think it happened at the right time, and I'm just happy that he was actually ready. They learn a lot from each other from Siema, and while Siema left the club, it actually gave him the momentum to actually carry on with the squad as it was. It's only the coach that has left. It's not the team. So it was to him to actually to take on from that role. And for me, he's done tremendously well to place the Celtics where they were. Yes, they had their own troubles of their own, which is they were not getting the best of results, and then the financial issues came into play as well. But looking at it and where they are right now and how they're playing, credit also needs to go to both coaches, Siema and the current coach that is at the helm. It actually helped them significantly to where they are today, and it's so nice to actually to see coaches that have been players before coming in very well and being doing very great.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
just to add on what Sos is saying, I agree with him 100%. And what I like is that they've given the confidence into the locals, into ex-professionals that has played for the club. And we hope that we can see more of that in South African football. We understand that not a lot of clubs have confidence in new coaches, but if you look at even we look now, we have Abraham and Teo that's coming, and it just looks like there's a continuity there. If one goes, there'll be another one that's coming in. They even brought in now the left back that used to play for Chief Sosi. What's his name? He's also part of the technical team now. Matoto.
Mtoto, yeah.
Mototo is coming in. So they're always looking at continuity. So even if John Maduka wants the Malawi national team job in the future, then they will always have that degree of continuity, and I think that's good. I wish we could emphasize those in a lot more PSL teams.
No, for
I
sure.
think again, just to add there on what Trap is saying, it brings us back to the same point of saying, as Leopards and all those Polokwane team have lost that identity of caring for the locals, to bring in the local players, have more local players. That because I mean, if that club goes down, the first people that are going to be looking at it is going to be the locals, because nobody wants to travel there. We know Shoaib and Peter, to actually to go to Polokwane, when they tell you there's an offer, it has to be something good in terms of financially. It needs to make financial sense for you to be at that end. But now again, if you have your own Londe Sikwibilu, the Nichi Dives, if you groom the same talent, I think those players play with their hearts out and they never wanted to leave. I remember there was a case whereby Netsi Jive was
Ramak,
wanted by Chiefs and he refused. He said no, he wants to play for Leopards.
Hmm.
And he played for Leopards up until he retired, if I'm not mistaken. So
but
those are
even
the
the
kind of
coach,
attitude that we need.
but even the coach now, Bobe, hasn't he played there also for like 15
No,
seasons or
for sure.
something like
Yeah,
that?
he's one of their staples.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
Ramakalela as well. So for me is what I see strange about the Limpopo province teams is they always look for the Scandinavian country coaches. And at one stage, the Polokwane owner was saying yes, no, they like to breed them or give them opportunities. I mean, Luke Emil also got opportunities. One of the Limpopo teams at first.
Yeah.
So why not push and looking more at and stick with Bobe going forward? It could give him an opportunity. He might have a philosophy that could work for the Limpopo province itself.
I think it will work, Shaib. It will work great because
Yeah.
I think he understands the culture and the place itself. Because a coach that's going to get there is just going to be a player that's coming from Joburg that's going to suffer from the heat. He's from there. When they groom players that are coming from there, they understand the culture and the tradition, and then it actually gives a good ambience to the team.
Yeah.
Just an update: Cape Town City have scored against Super Sport United, and Polokwane City also have pulled a goal back against Bidvest Wits, and there it's Paul Velasi getting on the score sheet. And for Cape Town City, let's have a look in terms of the goal scorer. That's Kermit
Oh,
Erasmus.
and they equalized. Baraka just
And there we go,
equalized.
Baroka equalizing.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
The
Who's
plot,
using
Um,
Muti on us, Bafwetu?
the plot
Someone
thickens.
is using Muti on us.
Look, I was
Whoa.
going to mention. It was good to see Gerald Piri back in. The coach was saying that he was a bit low in confidence in the bubble, but now I see obviously he's had the assist. He's got a he's got a good educated, well educated left foot, and as you can see, it was obviously a pinpoint set piece and a brilliant header. But a bad marking there from Nurkovic as well.
Yeah, I think that this marking that Chiefs applies, it's confusing because they do a mixed marking yet they have heights. Look at Mato. He's the tallest of player and he's supposed to be put at right at the end of the goalpost. But it's the one that is in front because what it means the first flight of the ball is going to miss him. It's not going to get to him because he's the first in line. So he needs to be last in line. So how they set up their marking, I don't know, because for me it looks like a mixed marking. So when you do mixed marking like that, you're always going to lose players because look at the run that is made by this player on the front run. He actually he has no intention of getting the ball. He just wanted to draw Katsande and Mato. There's three players in front of one player, which are following behind.
Manuel Kambala there getting only his second goal of the season. And, it's what undid Mamelodi Sundowns, Schwabe. Had a situation where there was
Yeah, but look for me. I find it a little bit frustrating. Okay, not frustrating. You have Kambala, which is one of the strongest headers of the ball, and then you're having your striker marking him. I mean, you have to have your strongest defender on one of the strongest attackers of the ball when it comes over here. So Nurkovic marking him, I think, was bad. I think when it came to them allocating who needs to mark who, knowing that Baroque is quite decent with the set pieces, especially when you have somebody like Jero Piri, which is on point.
But I mean, Timothy, is it not a case that maybe they think that Nukovic is strong in the air? He could be as strong in the air in defense, or is it what we're calling it a mismatch of having Kambala be marked by Nukovic?
Look, my experience is never trust a striker to come and mark.
Exactly.
Yes,
Thank you,
I was saying the
Timothy.
same. I wanted to say the same.
That's one of the worst things you can do. You rather have two defenders and entrust them to the job than getting a so-called striker or midfielder to come and defend. I think that's one of the worst mistakes because they will attempt to defend, but they will not defend.
Yeah.
I think just to come in there, what Peter is saying, a striker knows how to convert, but how to defend is a different thing. As much as he may have the aerial presence or the height, his technique is different from heading to defend and heading to score. Because already he knows if a pinpoint cross comes in, he knows where to put it. But now a pinpoint cross comes into our box, he's going to put it on our own net at some point.
Manuel Kambala, they're getting another chance in the set to this time try and put his boot onto it. Baroka definitely have the bit between their teeth and are test teams in a way where they're being stretched, right?
Yes, no, I mean, we spoke about it. We said if we're going to sit a little bit deep as Kaizer Chiefs and allow them to start doing the passing, they can get in between the lines. We know that they were going to create chances. And like Timothy saying, they were looking at the push and goal. They might have said, you know what, let's sit a little bit deeper and try and get them on the transition. But the transition hasn't even worked because they've just lost ball position immediately after winning it back, which is maybe not a good forte of Kaizer Chiefs but I mean, obviously now you can see Baraka's tails up. So they're obviously going to be running for the next half an hour to 35 minutes. So it's going to be a lot harder for Chiefs at the moment.
Yeah, just like we pointed it out, Baroka had a plan. Chiefs actually wanted it more. As much as Baroka, they know that they're quite certain that they're going to be on the playoffs. It's up to Chiefs to break in that wall that Baroka has actually created. But then yet again, anything that comes their way for Baroka is good enough because they are attacking more with caution. If Chiefs are going to panic at this stage, it's 1-1. It's actually going to cost them to leak a little bit more than they actually started by them scoring at the first half. So now seeing that Baroka have actually picked up that they can still get goals from Chiefs. They're going to try and push a little bit, but not to overexpose themselves because they're working much more in terms when it comes to a defensive organization more than an attack. But if anything comes in, they're glad to grab it.
Huh. This is a tense situation now, and the professionalism and the metal and the steeliness of these Chiefs players is going to be tested since find a second goal. Um, it's a bit of a pressure situation, and with the PMT.
If you look, the, the result as it stands, it favors Baroka at this moment in time because they stand to survive going to the playoffs. So they have got more to play for. Likewise for Chiefs. But what I'm seeing with Chiefs is uh, Chiefs players are quite far away from Baroka players. Whenever they're receiving the ball, they are arriving late. Even if it's a child with a ball, as long as he's given that space and time, he'll be able to dribble or pass the ball. And that's what Chiefs is facing at this moment in time.
Yeah, Shoaib, I mean, what does that mean? What did the coach say at halftime? We know we're sitting deeper, but I mean, what's the instruction here? Or are we having a situation where the players themselves are taking it into their own hands? We had this discussion as to whether, as players, as a collective, you make a decision as to how to see out a match. What do you think is the case here? This is tactical, or is this the players just playing within themselves? You're on mute, Shoaib.
Okay,
Right.
so sorry about So sorry, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is, with Kaiser Chiefs, I don't think they follow the instructions to the T. It was supposed to be sit deep, but when you hit on transition, it has to be obviously constructive, and it hasn't been because it hasn't been working for them. I mean, they just won the ball and then they just lose the ball again. Um, it's all working into Baraka's favor because Baraka only needs a draw. So the only thing that's going to happen now is the Chiefs is going to get desperate. And with getting desperate, they're going to be throwing numbers, and it doesn't look like there's a proper plan or proper strategy going forward. So they could rush, pushing numbers forward, and they could then
Sundown scored,
eventually concede.
2-0 now.
Yeah, a 3-0 with Sundown. So the goal difference, I mean,
Goal
if
difference is being chipped away at. So what happens in that scenario, gents? Because all they need now is one more goal to be tied, so that even if Chiefs score, they're going to be dead tied. That's
but then
that's
it will go according to who scored the most goals for.
four.
And I think Chiefs still on top, if I'm not mistaken. Chiefs have
Yeah,
scored more goals.
yeah, they've got
Yeah.
48.
So that's why I said Sundowns has to score 5 goals, which by the looks of it now is kind of possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, they still got 3 to go now.
Because Leopards obviously know they've lost the game. So Leopards has just got to hope that Chiefs beat Morocco. They're not even going to fight now, so they could concede 20 goals now. At the end of the day, they demoralized as well.
I want to ask you. Coach Pizzo made a reference to it as to how they breed these almost time waster keepers at Barroca. I mean, are we seeing that now with Chipazeze kind of taking the sting out the game? For what seemed like normal contact in a football game. I don't think Nukovic really, injured him that much. But the reaction to be laying on the ground minutes out of the game.
Look,
I
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put my hand up and say, do not. I was a culprit of that. I think I used to average getting suspended twice a season for delaying, for taking your time. I used to average about eight yellow cards a season.
Right.
So I'm one of them. Maybe Chipazizi saw me in the past. But look, at the end of the day, it's tactics. You as opposition need to know how to handle it. You can get frustrated about it, but at the end of the day, if it works for you, it works for you. It is also part of football. It's not only the footballing tactics. There's professional fouls. There's delays. So all of those things play a role, and at the end of the day, it's just another tactic.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, looking at it now at the bottom of the table, Black Leopards are sitting in that 15th position. Baraka 9 points as it stands. Amazulu now also in a position where they're in the current situation, and it's because they're leading Highlands Park 1-0. Bidvest Prince Bunny City, it's a 1-1. Celtic are leading Maritzburg United 2-1. Cape Town City still in the lead 1-0 against SuperSport United. Cheaper lead against Golden Arrows. And we have a situation where Pirates, their first half lead against Stellenbosch still intact. Lamontville Golden Arrows, just touching on them very quickly. They've not had the best of times in this bubble. Does that bring the coach's position into question? Or is it just a case of, listen, we've survived the season, we'll regroup, we'll start again and go for it in the new one? Considering that there's not going to really be, much of a break between the end of this and the start of the new season, can we write this off to it being just a bubble burst, I guess, not them not being able to get the results, or do you take it into the overall picture of the season as how Steve Gompela has done as head coach? Does it bring his position into question, their form in the bubble?
Yeah, for me, I think it does. I think on this, I think he had. I think it's maybe it could be poor planning,
Mhm.
or maybe players not adhering maybe to his instructions on the bubble. Because I know Steve. He's a very disciplined coach. He always puts things prior. He always makes sure that he prepares very well. But now it comes back to players where they prepared enough to actually to go into this fight to just finish up strong because
Yeah.
they had the opportunity to actually to consolidate and finish handsomely well. But now, when you look at their games and the bubble that they've played, they've lost about 3 games. They lost about 4 or 3 games.
Yeah, they've got
So
no wins,
within that big,
2 points, and
they've
no
got
goals in play. I mean, that's their record.
that's terrible because I know, knowing Arrows the way that they've been playing, it's it's shocking to actually to find themselves into the position that they are on today. And again, I think I have to take the blame much to the bulk of the players because I think it's more about them and not them maybe not adjusting too quick onto the situation at hand. Because I mean, as we said when we spoke about the field, it's the same playing level field, and players also it's the same it's actually the same kind of treatment that one each players get on this
Mm.
bubble. It's nothing different where you're going to get special treatment or this is what is going to happen. We all follow the same protocol and the procedures, but now at the end of the day, what are players thinking when they're on that bubble? Are they getting enough motivation? Is the team spirit there? Is the team unity? Are they playing for something, or they just say, "Hey, we are tired of this new environment"? Because who knows, we might be actually be stuck with this situation for quite a long time than we actually think. So if you're gonna have excuses now, when you're gonna start the league, what if we start on the same footing where you're gonna go in the on the bubble again?
Yeah, I mean, the chances of that, I think, are not going to be as high because I think, just logistically to do a whole season in a bubble doesn't kind of make sense. And there's rumors swirling that the lockdown levels will be amended in September still. So I think we might find
Mm.
ourselves where maybe from a position of crowd control, the stadiums might not be as full, but I think most teams are going to go back to hosting their games at home. And that is what makes it interesting for Arrows. They've just not been really good at picking up points outside of KZN, Timothy. I mean, they've only beaten one team since Steve has taken over outside of KZN. And, as much as the bubble is the bubble for everybody, it seems to kind of see that pattern carry on with them not being as convincing outside of their home stadium or their home province anyway.
Look, COVID-19 has brought so many factors of football onto play. We are looking at the professionalism of players, how players conduct and look after themselves when it comes under such conditions. But what is interesting is you'll find that COVID-19 football has favored more of the small teams because they are used more onto, man marking type of football. Their type of training is that hard training. And you look at the big teams always, their performance improves with momentum and after many games. And
Mm.
so with this bubble, it has favored more of the small teams. Now, if you're looking at the likes of Baroka, how they have gone about their business, you look at how they are playing. They have got an identity that they are trying to exert on their opponents, and that is very important. They were able to beat Sundowns because they were almost playing the same brand of football. So Sundowns could not have an answer to the way they were playing, because Sundowns, normally big teams, they don't like to mark. So Baroka playing the way they play, they always ask so many questions from the likes of big teams. I'm not surprised that really Chiefs is struggling. And if because you can see frustration is creeping in seriously, and there is no authority over the ball by the Chiefs players, and that is very telling. And as the game went on, and that the information trickles in from the results that are partaking between Sundowns and Black Leopards, it will heavily impact on the Chiefs players. I think they need to try and push themselves to try and get a result before it is too late.
No, for sure. I'm seeing here Baroka once again, just taking the game to Kaiser Chiefs. They sat deep, and like we said, it's about making the counter attacks count. But that one breaks down. There's a swing of the foot. Make sure that Baroka now are back in possession. It's Piri who's on the ball. And I mean, Shoaib, this is where now you're looking at the clock, 15 minutes to go. You say class and the badge and the magnitude of the club you play for needs to come into this at some point, which means that Chiefs are still very much in this as far as being a threat, but not on the current balance of play. Is it a matter of just soaking it all up and waiting for that chance?
When it comes to a game,
yeah, you see sorry, Timothy. Yes, sorry about that. Comes up. Look, like I said, desperation is going to creep in, and I predicted this. They're going to rush. I don't think that the way I see it now is they haven't created a clear-cut chance in the last 10 minutes. Their final third entries have been minimal compared to Baroka. So that's why I'm saying I feared this. I feared once Baroka was going to score, Chiefs was going to get desperate. But with desperation, you need also a little bit of composure. And that I don't see from them at the moment. So I think it's going to be a little bit hard. Also, for me is, I mean, look, we're looking at this. That's desperation at the end of the day. There you can see it now, and with that is it's going to work in Baroka's favor at the end of the day because they're just going to run out the time.
Sure, for sure.
I think game management as well on this game for Baroka. I think they are far experienced. They've proven that. The game that they played against Sundowns, from the goal that was scored first half, and then they defended for their lives. The same could be the same could transpire on this case, as Timothy mentioned. With Chiefs, there's lack of authority on the ball, and knowing on my experience, when you play Chiefs, you're playing one of the nicest teams that give you time to turn, to control, to play your normal game. It's not like maybe when you are playing Cosmos or you are playing the same type of football where you are playing like your Cape Town City where they press you. Chiefs gives you time to play, and at this point it's not going to work for them because it's playing on Baroka's favor, where they are not put into so much pressure and they are not being hurt on the sensitive areas. Within that being said, it's gonna this game, I'm not surprised if it can go to a draw the way Baroka is actually managing this game.
But going forward, for me, if I was Middlesbrough, I would tell my players mainly that if we can try to get the ball to Biriat as one of the players, and Manyama, get the ball more to them because they can think for the team. I can tell you players who are different. You have got thinkers for the team and players who fight for the team. You can't mix the two. You have got players who think for the team and players who fight for the team. So it's very important that you differentiate that. Get the ball more to Manyama, get the ball more to Kama Biriat, and then you'll expect something to happen.
Well, there we go. I mean, Manyama had a chance there, but he also, you could see, looking a bit exasperated by the fact that he didn't have the support to kind of get something going, and that will be concerning for him. I mean, you're looking at your teammates, you're thinking that everybody's going to be an active opportunity for you to give them a pass, but Shoaib, you saw there, he just had a chance where he was like, guys, we're the
Yeah, you see, for me now at the moment is, if you look at the distances also from Chiefs, it's too far apart now, which works very much in Baroka's favor because that's where they want to play in. So you need your players to be a little bit closer to one another. I mean, look at the options that he has now. One option there. Look at the urgency of Baraka.
Mm,
So those are the things, and like I said, Baraka's tails are up now.
mm.
This is playing right up the alley. Um, Chiefs at the moment needs to get their foot on the ball. Um, Billiard playing in his own half is ineffective for me.
Yeah.
Let me find you in better positions in the final third. Let Manyama get the ball up. So now, like Timothy saying, is maybe the authority is what they need now. They need that authority, that leadership of players to say, let's get our foot on the ball, have a little bit more patience. We don't need to rush. It's 10 minutes. We're only looking for one goal. We don't need two or three. So in that sense, I think, like Sosi was also saying, the management of the game is from Chiefs' side is very poor.
Yeah, just having a quick look at what's happening on the side of Mamelodi Sundowns. Just over 10 minutes of regulation time to go, and they're sitting comfortable with a 2-0 scoreline at the moment. But obviously now they'll be trying to look to grow that goal difference, because this could all be for naught as it stands if Kaizer Chiefs do find a leading goal. On Sundowns' part, they're going to have to just try and score as many as humanly possible and hope they don't concede against a Black Leopards team who are at the moment the team that are in the playoff position spot. Polokwane City dead cert to be relegated, of course. Orlando Pirates, on the other hand, are in the CAF Confederation spot, and I guess that'll be a good season to reflect upon for them. If we speak about Pirates real quick, Saucy, I mean, they've done well under Joseph Zinbauer. It's a bit of a mixed bag of results in the bubble, but, you know, now that they found that consistency in these last couple of games, they'll be able to take to the rest of the continent for the Confed next season.
Yeah, I think for me, it is good that the team always picks up at the end, even though it's not one of the greatest things. But I'm quite glad that at least they've got themselves back onto the right track. As much as results were not actually trickling in, but as planning for the upcoming games and for the upcoming challenge, I think it's in a good state where they pick up. Now they know that refreshment of the squad as well, better planning, more organization on them can actually put them into a greater position.
Yeah, I mean, is that a good thing to look forward to? I mean, Shoaib, in terms of, you know, when you speak about the Confed, it's, you know, it's still silverware, but it does kind of get in the way if you're trying to win an absolute premiership as well. You know, it's something to
Yeah, it's,
see outside outside local competition that makes it better. Certainly to win a league. Will that help Pirates' chances, all this football on all these fronts?
look, for me, at the end of the day now is we've spoken about this before we went online. Jay-Z sitting, what, 15 games in charge and accumulating close to 32 points. You looked at it in the last, what, four,
Yeah, in the
12,
last 12, yeah, he's had a
yeah,
tremendous good.
he's got about 22, 23 points. Look,
Mhm.
23, 22 points after 12 games, that's sitting with, what, 46 points after 24 games. That's contending for the league. So, and what we also need to take in consideration is that he came in midway through a season. Well, not midway, but, you know, the season has started. And there's a certain philosophy that the old coach had, and there's a certain philosophy that he needed, that he wanted out, and that you have to implement. So
Right.
I think the 5 months has worked for him now. The 5 months of lockdown. I'm excited to see what he can do next season with a full season. Um, his type of play might not suit a lot of the Orlando Pirates players when it comes to also sitting a little bit deep and trying to hit teams on transition, not playing your normal type of Orlando Pirates football where you always hold the majority of the possession in a game. So you might hold a lot less position, but you're more effective when you're going forward. That's the type of football that he does want. So yeah, it's exciting. And I think it's exciting for them as a team to be in the conflict also. As much trophies that they can play for, and as much because they're a big club. And Pirates supporters won all the cups, wants all the cups. So I think it's good for the supporters as well.
Okay, for sure, I hear you. And I mean, obviously, that's something Chiefs are going to have to look forward to next season, no matter what happens here, Calvin. And there's always been this kind of accusation level at Chiefs that they don't perhaps take these continental cups as seriously. Do you sense there'll be a change in mood and approach moving forward if they do get themselves, well, they are going to get themselves into the Champions League? Do you think there'll be a serious push from the club to make sure that they deliver on that?
Yeah, I think there will be a serious push. And then again, we are still waiting for the decision from the ban, because also that will play also a bigger role in terms of them moving forward. I think it's high time. Chiefs is a very big brand, and for them to be competing in Africa, it just expands in terms of their brand as well. So their signings are actually going to be the most talking points. Refreshing of the squad, I think, starting from the middle and the defensive line and then up front. So I think those are some of the key positions that actually need urgent attention for them, because if you see now, the current crops, not that I'm trying to, without disrespect, whenever that they're under pressure, it seems as if their level of intensity drops. You don't see a Chiefs that anytime there's going to be a goal that is going to be coming.
Mm,
You're not having that sense of agency that when Chiefs is on the ball, they're going to score. It's all like in one motion. So I think a change of approach as well, as much as they're going to be going to Africa, because Africa teaches you a lot, as you
mm,
can see in comparison with Sundowns. They beefed up a lot. They've
mm.
actually refreshed quite a bit, and that is why these 7 years they've been winning staff trophies back to back. It has actually assisted them to build, because those competition, as Pito has always mentioned, that those competition has always given them the platform to measure themselves with the best in the world.
Yeah, no, it's a good point that you bring up about that transfer ban that's still being looked into as far as that the next season is concerned, and things like that hanging over the clubs were able also kind of influence the coach who would want to take this job, considering that you might have a transfer ban that doesn't allow you to build and curate a side that you'd like to put together for the season ahead.
Look, I think for me is to a certain degree, I'm sure they want to strengthen in certain areas. Sosi will probably have a little bit of insight on what's on Bob Stake's mind, with regards to who he's looking to sign if the band is lifted. But if not, look, I think they still got a competitive team. They're not top of the log and fighting for the league for nothing. Whatever coach comes on board could change certain one or two aspects of the of their playing style, or maybe have a little bit more of a variety when it comes to certain matches. So I think, yeah, just a different coach could come with having the same personnel. I think they would still compete. So yeah, we hope that they could resolve it and they could make some signings. But to be honest, I mean, if you look at the team, they've got a fairly decent, a well-balanced team. They've
Mm.
got good numbers in defense. They've got good numbers in midfield. And yes, maybe a replacement for George Maluleka, who left to Sundowns. But other than that, I think, yes, for me, they've got quite a few good attackers. We still have Castro, which is out now. We have Zuma that is still trying to find his feet. But it's also going to happen now. It's also going to depend on what players are going to be leaving. Is Zuma leaving? Because there is rumors of a team in Belgium that's interested in him. So we also have to look at that and see what type of depth they'll be looking at getting for next season.
Yeah, and of course, it is about having a strong spine that, like you say and you point out, George Maluleke has moved from that spine as far as Chiefs are concerned. So, see, who do you think is a natural kind of fit that's currently there, or in terms of the player that you see what's in there? Especially when you look at a team like Bidvest Spirits, who have a lot of players who don't know what they're looking like? And also, I guess thought for both of you, gentlemen, and the team that's gone down in 2026. Can you imagine who of those players might have an opportunity to come back up next season in terms of being picked out from that side by an absolute Premiership team or a top division side?
Mm. For me, I would wish for Monareng to actually to be on the books of Chiefs. I think he's going to give a good midfield balance. The type of play that when Gavin moves into that team, it's actually going to suit him because I think
When?
Katsande, for
Did I
me,
hear you say when?
Good win, as if it's a done deal. What do you know that
Is
we
it a
don't
done
know?
deal, Sosi?
oh,
Hey, hey, Sosi, Sosi, Sosi.
Hey,
Hey,
he's letting
comes out. We just got some
from
inside info now.
what he's finding out from the dinner sessions.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, but the dinner was cut short because the guy had to leave and take out the duty.
that's enough intel for your Freudian slip over there. Okay, carry on with your point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. As I'm saying, it is going to be a very good fit for actually Maharin because for me, Katsande, uh, he holds a high pedigree, but I don't think he's going to be a good fit for that team for too long. As I think he's wearing off even his legs as well. I think they need to refresh them more in the middle. So a good fit for me will actually be Monare. And just to add also on the side, as Kevin likes to operate to play with the wing play,
Again,
and
Kevin.
the best benefit that's for players that I'm actually looking at is Castro. It's Castro and Nikovic. He's going to be utilized now into a way that the incoming coach will actually use them.
Hey,
Yeah,
okay.
you see, for me is yeah, I think with Katsande to a certain degree is his type of football has it's evolved a little bit now. So you have games where you need players that can break down play,
Right.
but Katsande's one of his disadvantages is when he receives the ball, his passes are always sideways. And in the modern day football now is you need to try and make a vertical pass because you need to start attack within mid. And Katsande's strength is his anticipation and his interceptions. But other than that, there's most modern day football now you don't you need it, but you need it to somebody also that can make vertical passes, forward passes
Right.
immediately after winning it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Chipazeza being a wall there at the back, just his strength and stature. I mean, this is must be incredibly stressful for Kaizer Chiefs fans watching at the moment. Just to see this one, possibly. I mean, there's 3 minutes left of the added time. So
Yeah, you see, comes it's for me it's a little bit predictable. That's why Chipazizi. I mean, that's like picking apples off the tree. I mean, that was my daily bread as well. When and there's
Sundowns getting a
Sundowns,
third goal.
yeah, Sundowns is 3-0 up. So look, I mean, for me, what Chipazizi is doing here is like bread and butter. Picking up balls that are is not even threatening to Baraka at the end of the day.
This is incredible.
I think again as well, the tactical switch with Chiefs, having Mato as a striker, you still have Nokovic. What are you trying to do? You're pumping balls up in the air and then you're neglecting the middle play, the middle passage of play. It says a lot. And then I think
Yes, but this
Baroka
is
as
but this
well.
is but this has been happening now for the last 25 minutes. I mean, you at the end of the day, you
But it's
had
not
25 minutes.
profitable. It's not profitable if you do it like that because
But that is what I'm.
Baroka
But
can
that is what.
score from this.
Yes, but that is what I'm saying is. I mean, you should have already been building up. You could have had more time. Now you're knocking balls for 25 minutes. You are so predictable.
Mm.
And for me, yeah, like Sus is saying, it's frustrating and it's irritating. Not irritating, but it's just frustrating to see
Yeah, and
that you.
I like how Baroka is actually first on the ball. They know now they are safe. If they get this draw, for them it's clean. They don't need to fight another battle. They just need to go back to the drawing board and then do a better preparation. They
And
wanted
if
it
you
more now, and with their
eh,
defense, it has proven.
and if you look now, you see that Baraka has picked up every second ball
Mm.
that has been knocked in there. So the tactical change from Dylan Kerr has worked by putting somebody in front of the back four, and he's been picking up all the second balls. Chipazizi picks up the long balls inside. So
A
yeah,
good
I mean
tactical switch as well from the coach,
exactly.
right? Good
Yeah, no,
tactical
very good,
switch, knowing very
very
well
good.
that what they need to fight for, as much as we've been saying with Chiefs, you score, consolidate. Stop trying to play and get the first and the third one. You're not under pressure. Now, see, look at the Baroka now. They are seated more in terms of their own half because there's a lot to lose for them than Chiefs. They want to be safe. So if they get this draw, they are clean.
Yeah, and I mean that's why we were saying that this is playing directly into Baraka's hands with us.
Mm.
Yeah,
There we go. Set piece opportunity. Matoho, they're getting onto the end of it, but it goes wide. And there's literally just over 10 seconds left. And folks, it is looking like that was the last opportunity there for Kaiser Chiefs to be able to get a goal. Chipezeza is going to take his time. I'm just going to describe this as we go. And there we go. It's a draw for Baroka. Mamelodi Sundowns are 3-0 up against
They are
Leopards.
through.
They are
Sundowns won.
champions as far as the ABSA Premiership season is concerned. A bemused Ernst Middendorf just hurries down the tunnel. You can tell his mood is just one of he can't believe what he's seen. Dylan Kerr and his staff
Mm.
celebrating. They're safe as far as the next season is concerned. Nukovic just frozen, I guess, gents. There it is. They've messed it up.
Sun are the true champions.
Sundowns are the true
Sundowns
champions.
are the true champions.
Oh my goodness!
People,
Wow, it was
people
just
has got every reason to say
the results. The game
encourage
hasn't
us
ended
to
at
play
Dobson
the CAF
Stadium.
Champions League, and that is a milestone.
Huh.
Sundowns true champions.
Wow! Mamelodi Sundowns haven't even stopped playing, but they're champions. They've got about 45 seconds left in their game, but they're champions. No matter what happens, these guys can pass the ball around. News has gone through. We've seen Pizzo celebrate with his staff. The players are going to get an opportunity to do so in just under 30 seconds. But Kaiser Chiefs players, they've not risen to the occasion. They've just not been able to find a second goal. Having been
yeah. I think we knew it was going to be touch and go from the beginning of the bubble already. It's disappointing, and but I'm sure that the Kaiser Chiefs players themselves are a whole lot more disappointed. And at the end of the day, they only have themselves to blame.
They do, and the referee blows the whistle at Dobsonville Stadium. Obviously, the players know, they've heard celebrations all around, and the incumbents carry on with their streak. Wow.
Kamza, I think Sos is still dumbstruck there. I
Yeah,
think
no,
Sos is his camera on freeze or what? I thought it just froze
he's
for a while.
frozen. He's frozen.
Ah,
Moving, except
Has sunk in.
these guys. Yeah.
wow.
Prophetic Pitso Musimani.
But I'm happy. I'm happy for the coach. I'm happy for Darren Kirk. I'm very happy for him. He's got a point to prove now, as he's been saying on his post match. Just leave me, let me do my job. And I think at this point he trained very well for this team, and he got the result that he needed.
Yeah, we just gotta hope that next season, whoever you were speaking to about leave me to do my job, I'm just hoping that they're gonna listen to him and actually let him do his job now, because he's kind of proven that he can do it. And I think if given an opportunity, I think he could do well with Baraka and a team like Baraka.
Walter, that will depend if he retains the job anyway.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It depends on what mood the directors or the administration is tomorrow morning, suppose.
I just hope that the chairman took it in a sportly conduct, not as
Yeah.
if he's being provocative. Because if that's
Yeah,
the case, a man like
he's
this
fired.
saves you because he could have actually thrown the job and they could actually made you to lose the franchise. And you look
No,
at it at this point, when this happened, it unfolds, they keep him still.
No, they're gonna keep him. They've got big plans. They've got a little village that they're developing there. They're looking at, doing the whole thing with the youth structures. They've got some serious plans, Barocca. So Dylan kind of intimated to me that, yeah, they're on an upward trajectory, and now that they're gonna have that grant, the status, they'll be able to do big things. The chairman is ambitious. I think, if anything, it'll be a challenge to the higher ups to support him and say, listen, on the little that you had, you were able to do this. What more if we give you to work in? So let's hope
Yeah.
that he's with the streak for the team. Now they get another season in the top flight, and we all know that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
What a final day! Mamelodi Sundowns nil against Black Leopard. A
That,
hat trick for
that,
Lebohang Maboe. Making sure, and what a way to win it. He's the man who's also been criticized quite a lot this season, gents, in terms of Maboe not really being what we saw from Maritzburg days when he first arrived at Sundowns, but he gets a hat trick on the last day and an all important one to win them the title.
Yeah, I don't think they've been fair on him because moving to Sundowns from Maritzburg, those are two different
No,
teams.
but he did well when he first arrived. See? It's just that he kind of
Yeah,
like, lost steam a bit.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was unfair for actually maybe people to actually to put so much pressure on him. I know moving from Maritzburg to Sundowns, Sundowns has a lot of quality than Maritzburg, and he took his form. Yes, he had a few games that he actually proved his worth, but now I think with time, we're still gonna see the best of my boy. At this current time where he came in at a team that was fighting for the league, that they're doing their utmost best to beef up their squad. So sometimes for players, change of environment and getting to a team that is competing is always difficult. But I'm happy for him that he's slowly picking up. We might see a different my boy next season.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, the side, it's scary to think of their potential now, Timothy, considering the fact that we already know the likes of George Maluleke is there. There's players from Wits that are heading over. There's a whole rejuvenation of the squad that's happening at Mamelodi Sundowns. And, if you can do it here when you were kind of an outsider, people weren't expecting you to do it, or would understand if you didn't do it because the team at the top had been at the top for so long. They come through at the last hour, yes, with a favor from Barocca, but they were professional, made sure they scored the goals, and here they are. I mean, it's a bright future at Mamelodi Sundowns.
look, made a comment some time back saying Kaizer Chiefs made a mistake to let Maluleke go. Because that was a masterstroke coming from Sundowns. You try to destabilize your competitors. I would have loved for Chiefs to keep Maluleke in their squad and trust him with a level of professionalism and continue with the execution.
They thought that, here's the player who's going to Sundowns. But Tim, the player was going to Sundowns in a Chiefs squad when Chiefs are up against Sundowns for the title. Surely that wasn't going to work.
No, it doesn't matter. He was still contracted to Kaizer Chiefs. He was contracted to Kaizer Chiefs, and I can tell you
the lockdown. Yeah.
For me, if you look at the grand planning and the psychological game that Pizzo was playing all throughout until this moment in time, that was a masterstroke from Pizzo and his technical team. For me, I think Chiefs fell for it. When the bubble football started, you could find that, yes, Pizzo was complaining about not scoring goals, but they never lost their identity. But that was opposite for Chiefs. Chiefs, they were not winning games, but they were drawing, but they were not playing well. So it was just a matter of time that Sundowns could start scoring goals. So for me, that was a missed opportunity, not only for Chiefs, but I think for the whole PSL, that we can trust a player who has signed a contract with another club to give him an opportunity to show that professionalism going forward.
No, I hear you.
And at the same point, on the same point, remember when we spoke about teams in Africa as a whole to stop letting players go when their contracts are coming to an end, or to actually stop fielding those players when their contract coming to an end, because it plays a massive role in this. Because if they had a good relationship to say, George, we are leaving, just give us your best season now, and then we'll see you off. We're not standing in your way. whatever that you have signed, whatever. But now, why remove
Mm.
your strongest player, and then you actually don't make means to actually say, to talk to him and say and tell him that, listen, stay up until the season finishes, we are willing to renew, we know you're leaving, but as soon as this season ends, then you are free to go. But instead, yeah, you think you got better replacement for that player, and then that becomes your Achilles throughout the season. Now look at where we are now.
Well, I guess, yeah, it was a matter of trust. They didn't trust that George would be 100% on board on their side. And like you say, yeah, that could be one of the decisions that they're going to look back on in what led to them not winning a league that they sat atop for since August last
Incredible.
year, I think. I mean, it's been a long time that Chiefs have been top of the table. And on the last day, just letting it all fall apart. But congratulations to Coach Peter Musimani and his team. I mean, it must be said. It must be
Yeah,
said.
but again, comes just to add there. I think when I know that I'm leaving, playing for playing for Kaiser Chiefs or playing for Sundowns, I will make sure that I give my best, because you might never know what will happen in this
Yeah,
football
but they
world.
didn't think that.
So for
They didn't
you,
think that.
I'm sure there's no player. I can talk from experience. I've been in a situation where I knew I was on loan from Marisbeck, from Chiefs, and then already Chiefs has already sold me to Vets.
Mm,
But Marisbeck at that time, they were going through relegation. I
mm.
played my heart out on that team,
No,
and I
for sure.
made sure that that
It's
team
different, though.
survived.
So see, the interests are different. You have two teams that are going for the same thing, and
Mm.
they just don't trust that the player that is leaving to the other team that's competing for the same thing is going to be 100% here with this team. And I think
Nah,
that's
but I doubt. I
natural,
think that
natural
I
human
think that come.
that you're
Yeah,
going over that side. We can't trust you to do what's happening or to look after what's happening this side. Timothy,
Let me
but
tell
that
you.
shouldn't be up.
I hear you, Sosi. I hear you.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be a point of whereby, do you trust me or not? Because I'm going to do my job. I'm a professional. I need to be a professional throughout. But if I'm going to be playing those games along the way, then if I'm not going to be trustworthy, if that team wants me, they know that I'm still contracted this side. Whether they lose or whatever that happens, I've already signed the pre-contract. So for me to actually to downplay my game because I'm moving to the other side doesn't make sense. We see it we see it now with the Bayern and Barcelona. They beat them 8-2. And who's this player that went back to Barcelona now? Um,
Coutinho,
yes,
Coutinho.
Contino went to Barcelona. See the same thing. So the level of professionalism when it comes to South African football or African football as a whole, it needs to change. And these things of doubting players that they're not going to perform to their best ability because now their contract has ended. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter with you. Even if your coach believes in you, they playing you, but then they say again, sorry, the management is not going to sign your contract. You
Mm,
need to be professional enough, because you might never know. Those games that you are given and you are trusted by the coach, it might give you and open up another contract while this team doesn't want you. But for me to prejudge and say this player won't perform, it has never been proven. But now we always apply that.
mm. I hear you. I hear you, Tim.
There's an aura of suspicion, but for me, I believe that no one remembers the second best. In
Mm,
the case of Leka, I would be interested in donning that medal around his neck, and he would perform beyond expectations to make sure that all eyes are on me. I need to continue performing until the end of his contract. And I can tell you that would have even won him more admiration from his suitors and that Sundowns. And I think as a player, we missed an opportunity to demonstrate that we can be trusted, even when we have made a decision that is different from an order of suspicion when it comes to the managers of clubs and owners of teams. What levels do they trust us as players to be able to execute? In Africa, there are so many rumors that go about if this player is like this and this like this. So we missed an opportunity to try and nip that in the bud. And I hope there is another opportunity that can prevail itself so that that history can be rewritten.
I hear you. I hear you. Kens, thank you so much, man. That was great to have you for the watch along. We lost Schwabe, unfortunately, due to load shedding, but we thank him for his contribution too, and to all of you who've been tuned in via YouTube. Yeah, it's been an interesting and thrilling last day of the season. Mamelodi Sundowns crowned champions with a hat trick from Lebohang Maboy after it was Kaiser Chiefs who kind of had taken the earliest lead between the two sides against Baroka, but Baroka Tumasala coming through with a equalizer that condemned Chiefs to a draw where they had to match whatever result Mamelodi Sundowns had, and they didn't. At the last hurdle, they fell. And so they'll try again next season. Will it be with Ernst Middendorp as their coach? Only time will tell, but it's not looking good. It didn't look good even if he won the league. But of course, for the side that have won this new title, it's Mamelodi Sundowns carrying on with more of the same as far as their heritage is concerned. So congratulations to them. At the bottom, it is Black Leopards who will go off into the playoffs against TTM and Ajax, with the automatic relegation being Polokwane Cities. Thank you to Calvin. Thank you to Timothy, and thank you to you who's been tuned in. For myself, Gamzambata, and the team at Front Runner, we'll meet again in the new week when we reflect on this last match day. Until then, keep well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good weekend.